Welcome to Sportsbet Daily at Oddsmarket.com. Wow, what a weekend it was for the whole of the Oddsmarket team. We had parlays in the English soccer, we had parlays in the 2020 Euro qualifiers, but not even as good as any of us could do was what the boys did at the US Open. Bianca won at 17. Medvedev got into the final at 17. They cleaned up with first set overs, Medvedev and Nadal, and what they did with Bianca and Serena Williams. Everything they touched turned to gold. But I'm going to put a pin in their balloon now and just say fish and chip paper. Gone. It's the past. We start from naught. But we're off to Shanghai. We're off to Zhengzhou for the WTA. So if I'm talking tennis, I need Snize and I need James. Regular fixtures. You're on more than me, boys. How are we doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Good weekend, as you say.
Good.
Yeah.
That's nice. Wipe that smile from
Nice
your
is not
face.
slept.
Yeah, I'm doing absolutely excellent. As you all know, I've been racing Bianca to the roof over this past fortnight, and she took it home, and I printed out something in her honor. Hashtag She the North. She's the truth. She's the future. Legendary.
Yeah. Oh, you've been saying that, and to be fair to you, Snize, she didn't let you down. She was a different animal in that final, and I was standing with a Canadian who obviously likes his sport, as all Canadians do, and he couldn't believe that this young 19-year-old, the way that she took Serena Williams apart. I mean, I kept thinking Serena's coming back here, 5-1 down in the second, and all of a sudden Bianca just went, I'm on my way, I'm coming for you. And it was like unbelievable the way that Serena came back. And as soon as she came back, Bianca just said, no, it's not yours for the taking. But we're off to Zhengzhou now, though, boys. I'm going to start with you, James. Let's start right at the very beginning of the tournament. Futures, who wins this?
Yeah, so we were talking about this a little bit before. I think we've all been on the same wavelength, really, from the outright front. I didn't see a huge amount of options, but one that really stood out was Snize Zheng, who is at 34. She was 50s, but now down to 34, which I still think is a very good price. And so the first thing about this one is the playing conditions. For me, it's quite slow. It's the kind of tournament where I think it's one of the slowest tournaments. So you're generally looking for the more return-orientated players. And Zheng fits the bill in that regard. She's played really well this year. Recently took down the title in San Jose, which again is slow. It's not quite as slow as here, but it's similar conditions. She won this event last year. It's been upgraded to a premier event in 2019, but she won this event last year and probably will have a lot of fond memories. The time she played it before that, she also lost out 7-6, 7-6 against one of the seeds. So she's played really well here in the past. And on all recent form, I think we've got to side with her to retain the title, or at least give it a good go. She's in a weak quarter with, I think, Bertens, and realistically, I think there's a couple of quarters I would generally stay away from, or at least more so, which is the ones headed by Svitolina and Pliskova, and then I think the other two quarters are a little bit more open. So yeah, I think Zheng outright at 34, and then also Zheng to win her quarter, because I think that's the particularly weak element of it. I think she'd have to play Pliskova to make the final, which is not ideal, although I think she could do that. And then at 8 to win her quarter, which is, which I think is also very good.
Snize, you had Bianca all the way, and you're going to agree with James here with Zheng, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. So, as James said, this is a new WTA Premier event. It's been upgraded from a challenger. It's quite new one. I think they've only had 5 years or so on tour. And as he said, quite slow hard courts, medium pace, medium slow. So it does favor the return-oriented players and to some extent players that find success on clay. Worth noting is the home support is absolutely humongous here in China. The Chinese fans bring the heat, they bring the support, and the stands will be full as soon as we have a Chinese player that will be playing, and in retrospect to that, it will be almost empty when a Chinese player is not playing. So massive support, and the patriotic Chinese players really have a lot of fun memories. They really want to perform well at their home field, and we usually see Chinese players do just that. They usually perform at their very best in these home events. So in that line, Sai Sheng fits all the bills. She has an exploitable section in her draw. She's been placed in the second quarter, where we have Kiki Bertens, who's been largely woeful this season. Angelique Kerber, the other big seed, absolutely horrendous season for her as well. So definitely a very, very, very weak quarter for her. So I've bet her to win that quarter at 8, and just as James, win outright at 34.
Okay, I mean, we was talking to Adam a couple of weeks ago, and he was covering the esports over in China, and said that the crowd just watching screens, watching players play on the esports, was like a football stadium. He'd never heard anything like it. Also, after this, in the second part of the show, we're going to go off to the Shanghai Masters, where Ding is obviously going to play as well. But Snize, back to the tennis, back to the WTA. We've got Zheng on one side of the board. Have we got anything on the other side of the board so we can be greedy and have both finalists?
Yeah, that was the plan in the US Open. Didn't quite pan out as Madison Keys was knocked out, but we came kind of close, and we are obviously gunning for that again here. Looking at the bottom half of the section here, it's spearheaded by Elina Svitolina, as James mentioned, Caroline Garcia, Arina Sabalenka, and Petra Martic. And the one I have fancied here is Petra Martic. She's the 7th seed. She's already won a match, actually, so she'll have a match to get accustomed to the conditions. She got through Jasmine Paolini in straight sets, really got kicking in the second set, winning it 6-1. Looking at her mini section, the big seed is Arina Sabalenka, and there are a lot of question marks surrounding her right now, the Belarusian. She's, first of all, traveled. She's just won the doubles title in the US Open this Sunday, so she'll be coming here entirely different time zone, on short rest, time to get accustomed to these conditions after a long week. So there's that aspect. And Martic got knocked out much earlier. And there's also the fact that Sabalenka has been on Instagram writing poems to her former coach. Is he still her coach? We don't know that. It's been all over Instagram. They seem to have a very, very close relationship, and it almost looked like some kind of love story going on there. So we don't know. She was officially splitting with her coach just a few days ago, but it's been on and off, so we don't actually know that. So if not the fatigue and the hangover for winning the doubles title, it's the coaching situation that really puts Sabalenka off for me here. So she should be able to win a quarter. Looking for further, we have Caroline Garcia, who's been in really, really poor form this season, and obviously Elina Svitolina, who is the big test there. But with many of these big Cs, the question is motivation. The paycheck is good enough for them to show up, but will they compete, or will they use this as practice for the larger events coming up later on in this Asian swing? So with questionable motivation, Svitolina will obviously be a tough opponent if she gets there, but Martic is the standout value at this price, and I got her to win outright at 13.
Yeah, I mean, my own personal opinion on Svitolina is that she looked like a spent force in the semi-final, James. I like the way we've gone with Zhang at 34. Obviously higher in places, but not for very long. And 8-1 to win her quarters. If I asked you to just give me like one game that you could like maybe find some value in, where would you go?
Yeah, so it's not the first round that massively jumps out, but I think there's a player who I actually also considered on the outrights in the bottom half of the draw, which is Ferro, who's playing Yan. She's 41 outright, which wasn't quite enough for me to go with, but I considered it. But I think in this match, I would expect her to kind of have it all her own way. She's priced at 1.15 with most bookies, but we can get evens on under 19.5 games, which basically requires her to win 3 and 4 or better, and no 3 sets. So in this matchup, again, there's 2 major things here. Playing conditions are slow. Whenever you have slow playing conditions, it's definitely a better bet, I think, in general, to look for players to be dominant and one-sided, as opposed to looking for tighter matches, because tighter matches usually come about because of pretty good serving, or at least, pretty competitive tennis. And I just don't think that's likely in this kind of matchup. Yang does have a good serve. She's more serve orientated than you might like for an underbet. But what that does mean is that she's quite predictable. We know that she's going to be able to serve relatively well, but she's not really going to be able to compete with Ferro from the baseline. I would certainly not expect her to be able to push Ferro that much. As long as Ferro turns up in decent form, she will be able to dominate most of those rallies. So all we're really looking for is one slightly weaker service game in each set, and this bet should land relatively comfortably. I mean, a lot of the time here, I would be expecting even more dominant display than under 19.5, but I think it gives her a little bit of wiggle room if the underdog puts up a bit of a fight.
Snize, I know what you're like, and if James has found or likes under 19.5 Ferro Yang, if you go Ferro Yang, where's the value with the handicap?
Yes, so I like the way James broke down that match. This is also a match that I have one of two selections on in this first round. So first of all, we just want to talk a bit about Fiona Ferro. She's been a stable riser on tour, and one wouldn't really have expected that since she started the year 1-6. She was starting the year ranked 102, slipped down to 116, did not look good. But she's very talented, has a ripper of a forehand that she had on any occasion, has great footwork and really runs around to smash that forehand and protect her backhand wing at any given opportunity. She's rising through the ranks. She found her feet with Guadalajara and Lugano semifinals. She won Lausanne, and she made another quarterfinal in Palermo, and also went to the last 16 through qualifying and made the third round of US Open. So certainly been on an upswing in form there. A wildcard, Yang Shaozan. Yeah, I'm bad with pronunciation, sorry. She plays very sparingly on the single circuit, is one thing we must note here. She's only played in the last 3 years 34 matches, and that's because she's a skilled doubles player, almost exclusively is playing doubles these days. So there's that. She's only won 5 of her last 14 matches on hardcourt across these 3 years, and we really rarely get to see her in action at all outside of her home continent. So looking at the stats here, Ferro is just ranked under the top, 99.2 in the yearly whole break radio, 94th in the world with her 1640 hardcourt ELO, slightly better on clay. We don't have that many statistics when it goes to Yang, but she lost in straight sets, 6-3, 6-3 to Chloe Packett, Ferro's talented countrywoman, earlier this year, and she got demolished by Sophia Kenin, as we know, as a rapid riser in the ranks, 6-1, 6-2 last year in Wuhan. So we've seen her not really been able to measure up against a more talented opposition on the singles court. So I've gone ahead and played minus 5.5 games at 1.88 with Pinnacle. This can cover even if we do go 3 sets, because I could well see Yang serving well and hanging with Ferro, but I expect the disparity in quality to show over the course of 2 or 3 sets.
Okay, before I say goodbye, give me another game that you fancy the value is with the outsider.
Yeah, I have another match that I like here, and it's the match between Alison Risk and Angelique Kerber. Both of these bets I've said here are going to come up on Oddsmarket.com tomorrow, by the way, in written form. Just really quickly, Alison Risk has had a great year. She's risen through the ranks from World 63 to World 33. That's a career high. She's a fierce competitor and plays a very aggressive flat-hitting game, which makes her a great player to bet on grass in particular. She won the ITF Surbiton and WTA Hertogenbosch title, notably saving 5 championship points against Kiki Bertens and taking home the Hertogenbosch title in Bertens' home country. She also made the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, pushing Serena Williams to 3 sets. So she's a fantastic competitor, is one thing you must note here. Kerber, she's been a disaster this year, as we touched upon a bit. She's been floundering badly, and I think that she just struggles to deal with the pressure. In 2016, she won 2 slam titles. The year after, disaster, ended the year world rank 21. Last year, won the Wimbledon title. This year, again, floundering. right now currently world number 15 and sliding. So I don't know if it's just that she can't deal with the pressure. Obviously, she's been injured a bit this year, but she hasn't looked good. I don't think she is 100% physically. So she's, since Wimbledon, getting bounced there, she's just gone 0-3, and she's not looking good right now. I think this has the makings of a first round upset written all over it. This opportunity, first things first, only came because Simona Halep withdrew with an ankle injury, so late wild call, so she might not be prepared. And just Alison Risk is just such a good player. She beat her on the last occasion they played last year on grass, and I think that she'll be able to exploit Kerber's lack of aggression in rallies. So I bet her to win at 2.5 with BetHard, also available at 2.44 with Pinnacle.
Okay, boys, listen, I'm going to let you go. It's been a really tough few days for you, picking up and counting all that money on the back of Bianca, on the back of Medvedev. So let's hope we start again. We go for Zhang, we go for Petra, we're going to call her, just to give us a little bit more, I don't know, like an omen, really. If we call her second names, they get beat. We call them by their first names, they bring it home. Lads, keep up the great work, and I'll see you soon. Cheers, James. Cheers, Snize.
Cheers.
That was James and Snize. James at Tennis Pilot. Snize just wants to be Mrs. Bianca Andreescu. That's enough of him now, though. We're going to stay in China, funnily enough. We're going to go to the Shanghai Masters. It's the snooker. Ronnie O'Sullivan turns up and he goes in at favourite straight away. Snooker is my man, Craig Edwards. So without further ado, Craig, good morning to you, or good evening on your side of the pond.
Yes, good evening over here, Flash. We've got the heating on for the first time in months today, so you're not
Rafa,
missing
can you turn
much.
him up a bit, please? Can you say that again, please, Craig, because I didn't quite hear you.
We've got the heating on over here today, Flash. It's pretty cold, so you're not missing much.
Well, obviously my sidekick when I'm in front of the camera is Rafa behind the camera, and he likes having a pop at me by sticking the air conditioning on at -73. That's why you sometimes see me with a jumper jacket. I dare say it'll be a hat and a coat, and as we speak he turns it up. So yeah, listen, I've always got something to moan about, Craig. We look at this, the Shanghai Masters, and snooker's gone bonkers over that side over the last few years. There's a few catalysts. Obviously Ding, who's playing, and we'll go on to him a little bit later and talk about the pressure that he plays upon, because I don't think many people around the world outside of China realise how big a star he is. But the big one is Ronnie's back and he's at the top. Is he value?
I think for his quarter, his value at just a shade of odds on. He's got a really easy draw. He was meant to play Ali Carter. Ali Carter's lost to a Chinese amateur today, so he's going to play him tomorrow. Although Ronnie doesn't play well for the amateurs, but and then he's got Kieran Wilson or Zhao Guodong. I did put him in my article, and he was about 8-13 at the time. He's probably shortened up with Ali Carter losing today. It's not my normal price range, but I felt he pretty much falls on to beat Kieran Wilson in the quarter-final. So when it gets deeper, we'll see. We'll see Ronnie play a couple of matches. He's normally good fresh. He is normally good fresh. That's the one thing I'll say. He's like Tiger Woods over the years. When Tiger Woods used to come back to Torrey Pines every year, he always used to win after months off. Ronnie's He's been out in Asia. He didn't play the six Reds, but he's been out there on holiday, practicing a bit, swimming, and I expect Ronnie to hit the ground running. He'll certainly win his opening two matches, in my opinion, and we'll have to take a look at him from there. Is he value? I would just take him in the quarter this week and learn a little bit.
Craig, see, I look at this, and you mentioned Tiger Woods, so we'll just go along with that train of thought. Tiger Woods plays in a golf tournament. He's the shortest price. He's the favourite, so there's value elsewhere. I look here, and I've got Ronnie in the field. Ronnie's favourite. Value's got to be on Judd. He's been beat in the final 3 times, and now he's not even favourite. Surely Judd could be our man.
Yeah, I put Judd in my article. I just think he's focused. He's at the peak of his powers. If Judd's going to get beat, it'll probably be in the opening match or two, because the way he dealt with Ronnie in the final of Masters and John Higgins, if they get to best of 19 against him, I honestly think that the top lads don't really want him to play him at the moment. I know Ronnie is capable. It's probably wrong to dismiss him, but Judd rocks Ronnie off his feet. You can see that he frightens him like no one else. So I would definitely prefer Judd for the quarter, a shade of odds on again, and for the tournament at 4. I think I'd much rather support Judd in both markets. He's been runner-up 3 times when this was not an invitation event, it was a ranking event, so he's winning more matches. So I just think he looks a solid bet. And again, like Ronnie, he's opening 2 matches, he's in a little bit of an easier quarter. So he should be able to just hit the ground running, practice, get into his stride. And yeah, I don't think any of the top boys want to be playing Judd in long matches at the moment. It'll just expose their deficiencies.
And at the big prices, Barry Hawkins at 23. Do you like him?
I like him to win his half or his quarter. Barry tends not to win. I watched him today. It was a really good match with Bingtao. They both played well. I thought whoever lost would take a lot in defeat for the rest of the season. And he played well today. He's got a tough match with John Higgins. I think that is pretty much a coin flip. The one thing I will say, though, is at the moment, John Higgins is always worth opposing in highest break scorer markets. And Barry Hawkins just makes centuries for fun. So he's about 2.2 in that market. So Barry Hawkins for a high break against John Higgins is worth a look. But as regards the match, I think it'll be a close match. And but there is value with that. Whoever wins out of Hawkins and John Higgins, the one thing John Higgins brings, if he wins, he can beat Ronnie. Ronnie respects him like no other. And John Higgins, throughout their life, every match, head to head, they're never separated. And yet the bookmakers always make John Higgins 2-1. It's balmy. And so I think we could expect John Higgins to beat Ronnie O'Sullivan more than Barry Hawkins.
Okay, I'm just looking there at the value. Let's just go on to the tournament in general and the atmosphere and the buzz that comes with this tournament. I mean, 1,500 snooker clubs. I mean, obviously UK, we've always been, but the Chinese dwarf us, don't they? With the ground or the grassroots of snooker.
Oh, it is just a new world out there, and the players are treated like absolute rock stars. And when Ding plays, the places are full. And tickets over there are really expensive to their cost of living flash. They're about $100 for a session, and that's just about half a week's pay, I believe, for some of them. And
yeah, me.
So that's why you see. Me too. Yeah. So. Sometimes you see that they're empty, but when Ding plays, they're never empty. They always find the money. And over the years, Ding's best record has always been in Asia. I always get the impression when I'm watching Ding, when he gets to the Crucible, late in the season over here, he looks homesick. He sometimes looks forlorn. And I think over there, he doesn't. And I think I was surprised tonight to see BoyleSport made Ding 2.75 to beat Neil Robertson. Neil Robertson hasn't even got started for his season yet. So the head-to-head, there's nothing between them. I like Ding at 2.75 in his own country. And the highest break market. The highest break market, he dominates in their matches. I think Ding is about 2.3 in that as well. So... there's a couple of good bets there in the Neil Robertson match. The downside of being at home is if things go wrong, Ding can suddenly feel the pressure of expectation. But in general, he copes with it well up to this point in his career.
Okay, so if I gave you £10 to stick on the one player, would you split it and go with 2 5s, or would you just go with one?
For the outrights, Flash, do you mean?
Yeah, for the outrights.
Just stick it on Judd Trump. I know it's a bit. I'm not normally a favourites man, but this tournament, it's invitation and it's long matches at the end, and the semis is first to 10, final first to 11. The 2 matches before first to 6. It's very difficult for someone to play to the standard required to beat Judd Trump in that length of match.
Okay, and one match, I mean, obviously these are really big matches because we've got the top 16 there, we've got some wild cards, we've got a few invitations. But I look at Sean Murphy against Mark Williams, 2 world champions. Who do you think comes out on top here?
Well, this time, their matchup, I really like Sean Murphy. I was a bit worried about him because he's been injured, but he played well this morning. Mark Williams has been a slow start over this season. He's looked pretty abject. I would have made Sean Murphy a slight favourite. The bookmakers have made it Mark Williams' favourite. And the other good market in this match is the highest break scorer. Sean Murphy wins their breaks. They've played 24 times and he's won the highest break between them 15 times, and he's the second favourite. The reason for that is, the reason you can oppose Mark Williams in a highest break market, it's not because Sean Murphy is a better break builder. It's because when Mark Williams makes the 70 and he's won the frame, he switches off. And unless he's going to be making the highest break, half the time he stops concentrating. And so there's always a bet to be had in the highest break markets against Mark Williams. And I would definitely I'd like Sean Murphy to beat him and to win the highest break, both bets.
Okay, well, I'm sure we're going to meet up again very, very soon. So it's good luck to Sean Murphy, good luck to Judd Trump. Craig, until next time, keep up the good work. I'm sure I may see you on another particular sport this week that I'm really looking forward to. Until then, I'll see you soon, mate, and thanks for your work.
Yeah, good night, Flash.
Good night. It's the middle of the day here, Craig, but I get you. So that's Craig Edwards coming up this week on Sportsbet Daily at Oddsmarket.com. We've got La Liga. We've got Bundesliga, we've got Serie A, and we've got Premier League punters. Don't forget to tune in for lower leagues. To say we smashed it last week is an understatement. There was trebles, there was parlays, there was singles. So just come and join us. This is the place to be, on fire. Nowhere else on the planet is like this. I'll see you soon. Take care.